Here, tell these people something they don't know about me.
And we say happy Tuesday to everybody. The fourth day into 2022. We have survived so far. Welcome in, everybody. Episode 3 of Two Man Pigskin with myself, Christian Ballard, Ballard Sports Media, and my good and fellow co-host actually showed up this time. Ugga Boy, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, man? How are you doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, man. Hope it was great. We had some good bowl games. We're ready to move forward with the national title game coming up, and just a lot of crazy stuff going down in the NFL and college football, but we're always here to break it down.
Absolutely. And I got one for you. This to me was a eye opener, I should say. Right now, Kansas State is beating LSU 14-0 in the second quarter. That's going to be on ESPN, man. So you can catch this on your sports networks for sure. Didn't see that coming. I know LSU's had their ups and downs, especially since coming off the championship, 2 years ago? But, come on. LSU went toe-to-toe with Alabama.
They did. Even last season when they had a lot of crazy stuff going on, and I think it only ended up being a touchdown game. I mean, we didn't, Alabama did not have their best game. In fact, I think that was one of the worser games this season. I know I said last year, I meant this year, they were a little bit more competitive. And Coach O said that he was going to, beat Alabama, after the 2019 win. But I guess I give LSU props for competing.
Right. Absolutely. They're trying. I mean, I'll give them that they are definitely trying for sure. But Ballard, we got some big time news going on in Atlanta, Georgia. If you don't mind me sharing some news in the college football world. And I thought that this was definitely something we need to talk about on our show because this actually broke 2 days ago. Or it could have been yesterday, depending on when you read it. But Georgia Tech went out and made a stellar hire. They talked about a couple of weeks ago how they want to be pass happy with them going to get Chip Long, the offensive coordinator at Tulane, did great stuff and at Notre Dame in the past and stuff. Well, they went out and not only did Chip Long and Georgia Tech's coach go out there and kill it, but they went out there and got a quarterback coach in Chris Winkie, the Hall of Famer. Everybody knows Chris Winkie from Florida State. So huge news. And he's going to be over the quarterbacks. He was hired yesterday. And then yesterday, they also made another stellar news topic because Akron's quarterback. Now, I know all you people out there say, well, Akron's quarterback, wow, what a joke. Who is he? Well, this transfer portal has shown that, they can get second chances, people can and stuff. And, maybe they can rejuvenate themselves, I guess you can say. And this guy right here named Zach Gibson, he's number 5 for the Akron Zips from Alpharetta, Georgia. He was only a freshman. He announced he's going to transfer to Georgia Tech. And let me just tell you real fast, guys, that this really caught my eye as a Georgia fan because this guy has a completion ratio of 157 to 0 INTs in 2021.
Ooh, that's
but just for throwing it out there, they didn't do so well. The Akron not only got a new head coach and they hired a Jerry Moorhead, but Akron this past year went 1-7 in the MAC East and 2-10 overall. How is that possible, Ballard? The dude threw 157 passes and zero interceptions.
I don't. He's a freshman.
But 157 to
Wow.
0 completion interceptions. I mean, that's impressive, man. So Akron definitely is going to lose a quarterback, a good one for sure, despite their record. And this goes back to Ballard. We talk about it all the time. We want to make jokes and say, "Oh, we about Cam Newton," right? This talks about how one player flat out cannot make the entire team, and this right here is the prime example. One player in Zach Gibson, no matter how good he is, whether if he belly flops or he does great next year at Georgia Tech, the fact of the matter is, dude, that's some stellar stats, and there's nobody to praise besides him up there.
Well, you mentioned his stats last year. He had a rating of 158. That's not good. That's great. He was 109 of 157. He was just barely shy of 70% completion, over 1,000 yards, no picks, as you said, 10 touchdowns, and per pass, he was averaging 8 yards a passing play. It's amazing, man. And I'll tell you what, look, Georgia Tech's got a long way to go from any type of relevancy, but getting a leader and a quarterback like this, I think is definitely the right step in the direction, the step in the right direction for what they want to do. And also, I thought you were telling me earlier too, but did Georgia Tech not hire Chris Winkie as the quarterback's coach today?
Yes, they did. Yeah, it was the quarterback's coach. They announced it another day or two. That's huge news. And I will say that's a steal in my eyes for Georgia Tech. We could poke fun all we want to, we Georgia fans out here, or the college football world, on how Georgia Tech's been underperforming the last 3 years. But I'm going to tell you right now, there is no bones about it. Chris Winkie is a daggum good coach, and I think they hired a good one for the quarterback's coach.
I know you Georgia fans, you don't like Tech, and I mean you're like us with Auburn or Tennessee. You just hope that they keep being terrible. You hope they suck every year. But man, when credit is due, you got to give them props. I think now Georgia Tech is a long way from any type of national title, and let alone even a ACC run. But I'll tell you what, getting a quarterback like this and everything, maybe they could up their record a bit. I mean, who knows? Maybe in a couple years they're going 6-6. Maybe they do go bowling just a little bit, but only time will tell. Let's hold our breaths a little bit and not get too far ahead of ourselves. But I definitely think for a program as down as they are right now, because they're always going like 4-8, 3-9, I think, and they're always one of the bottom teams in the conference. But a quarterback like Zach Gibson, and then, Chip Long coming in to help with the tight ends coaching or whatever.
Yeah, he's offense coordinator and tight ends. A lot of people was unhappy about that, right? Our boy C-Dog was even talking about how Chip Long, he really wanted him to be over the quarterbacks. He wanted to be an OC several days ago and also a quarterback's coach. It may be a little different, but hey, when you go and you get Chris Winkie, there may be the reason why Chip Long's saying, hey, you can go on and you can coach these quarterbacks, buddy, all day long. Although I do got some news that Georgia Tech fans today witnessed after getting all excited and everything, they need to punch the brakes. Georgia Tech fans, don't get over themselves. They retained their coach, their DC coach today, defensive coordinator Coach Terrence. Excuse me, it's Terry Terrence. He's going to be retained today, and this is a coach Ballard. The last 2 games, he lost 100-0.
Oh my gosh, 100 combined. So what was it like?
55. Notre Dame put 55 on Georgia Tech, and Georgia put 45 on them. So not so great of a news that you really want to hear, but it is exciting about the offense and a quarterback coming in.
Yeah,
it just makes me wonder. That Gibbs, what was it? Javari Gibbs, the running back that transferred to Alabama. It just makes me wonder, only if he would have stayed, knowing that this Akron quarterback is transferring to Georgia Tech next year. If he has 157 completions to 0 INTs, dude, let me just tell you, they would have a killer offense, in my opinion. But of course, with him going to the Tide, the Javari Gibbs, I believe is his name. It kind of kills a little bit of momentum there.
Your marketplace.
Absolutely, man. I mean, you mentioned
They were all
and I
underclassmen
just
for the
forgot his
most
name. It
part.
slipped my mind, but yes, Alabama did bring in that transfer running back from Georgia Tech. He looks really good. I've seen his highlights. Have the name you just said the name. Who
Jabari
was it?
Gibbs.
Jamari Gibbs. That's it. Yeah.
Well, you see,
So
McDonald had
man,
plenty of time to throw the
you
football.
imagine if they get a guy like that or whatever, or they go into the portal and fight. Like I think, man, and again, they're long way from championship level, but a quarterback like this, the coaching staff turnover and everything, and what they're bringing in, could you imagine? It seems like they're a piece or two away to where we could look at this team and say they're pretty competitive.
Can't speak to
Absolutely.
game,
And
but
I'm still
it was a
curious
really
on what
hard game for
Brent
us.
Key, we keep talking about him, what he
I
can
think-
do to that offensive line. Now maybe this is where they can really gel 3 or 4 years since he's been in Atlanta at Tech. So hopefully with this talent and stuff coming in for Georgia Tech, make it more competitive and see that clean old-fashioned hate at the end get a little like a good old boxing matchup for sure.
Absolutely, man. But again, Georgia Tech is very, very, very slowly on some sort of incline and rise. I don't know how far high up they want to go. I mean, you always want to, like, every team's goal should be to win a title. But again, they are light years away from that. But they're on a good path to where you can say, well, they're not going on a downward spiral like they have been. They're going in a good direction for their standpoint and everything. And I know you're a Georgia fan. You kind of hate the Yellow Jackets, but there's got to be a part of you that you got to be impressed with what they've done so far.
Yeah, well, I think I've been more impressed, in the last 3 years. What Georgia Tech's done with Chris Winkie being the hire and this quarterback kind of coming in. We'll see. Chip Long's not a bad OC, so we'll see. He did some good stuff there at Notre Dame, taking them to the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. Had some really good stuff going when he was down there in Irishtown. So hopefully, for Georgia Tech's sake, and look, let's be fair about it. Okay, let's take my Georgia cap off for a second. Georgia Tech, as an institution and a program, they definitely need to get better, and it'll be good for college football once. And hopefully they will get back to that standard, I guess you can say, of being elite or at least being somewhat relevant, right? I think we Georgia fans, we want to sit here and say that Georgia Southern, Georgia State will make good rivalries, and sometimes I catch myself saying that. But in all reality, once Georgia Tech does get back to relevancy, I guess you can say, then they'll make it a really better rivalry. So I just wanted to share some Georgia Tech news because they had some pretty good news these last 2 days, man. Just killing it up there in the ATL. So, Ballard, crazy stuff that happened in the college football world. But real fast, shifting gears, what is going on with Antonio Brown, man? We're talking about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, dude. I didn't see a grown guy get mad. I saw a guy happy by saying, "See ya, I'm leaving."
I don't know.
Crazy, man. I've never in my life.
So news did break yesterday. He is injured. Antonio Brown is. So in case y'all forgot, or maybe didn't hear the news, so this past Sunday, the Buccaneers, they played their game. They beat the Jets 28-24. They struggled a bit. That's, no big deal. They struggled. But I don't remember exactly what it was, but Antonio Brown kind of just took his jersey off, took his freaking shirt off, threw it at the fans, and said, "Screw it, I'm out of here."
It was terrible.
So there's been a lot of it was unsportsmanlike and childish, and it's just been some drama the past 48 hours since then. And
but who's going to take Antonio Brown serious? Like, no matter how much you get talent, no one's ever going to hire him again in the NFL. They're just not. His coaching career is over with. He may get a job flipping burgers at McDonald's. I don't know, a good little $15, $20 pay job. Maybe, who knows? Maybe he can get in the car biz, but him acting like a hoodlum and doing that was very, very childish.
Now, So he has not been released by the Buccaneers and posted yesterday. And if you go and you hear Bruce Arians' press conference after the game, he didn't really want to talk much about it. He didn't go into a lot of detail, but he was asked by some reporters somewhere. I don't know, but according to a ESPN article, he says that he still cares about Antonio Brown. He's a great player and that he does have some good character in him. And he doesn't, he said, I don't have any regrets about adding him to this team. I care about him and I want to help him. I want to help him be successful. And I'm just going to say this, man. It seems like everywhere he goes, he keeps taking his attitude and his drama. For Bruce Arians, as tough as he is, because I mean, you would think with how he is, he's not taking crap like that. So for Bruce Arians, it's like, whoa, dude, you serious? But he sees some good potential in Antonio Brown, and I'll be the first to admit, Antonio Brown is a hell of a receiver, man. He's great as a player. And I hate to say, like, as a Christian, look, nobody's perfect. We all got our issues. I don't think that there's bad people out there. I think there's people that have bad motives or reactions or whatever, if you get what I'm getting at there. I think, Antonio Brown has had his good attitudes at times and his good days. And even for the most part, since he's been in Tampa Bay, the leadership and everything, I think is the, key thing. I just think he got kind of pissed off on Sunday, and I think he just overreacted a bit.
No doubt. He definitely overreacted. And here's the thing, man. To me, when he was jumping up and down in the end zone like he was trying to do jumping jacks or way by to the fans and stuff right there with that big grin and smile on his face. Look, man, that's like take your job and shove it, man. That was all written over the walls. And I actually thought that the owner said that Antonio Brown was indeed off the team. Or at least suspended, but either way, look, that's what they're going to have to deal with, and it's a sad situation that talent is being thrown to the curb like that by his own doing, and I knew you were a Bucs fan, man, and I knew you would have the ins and outs down there at Tampa, but that's just definitely a bad showing. And dude, what was it when this happened? It was in the middle of the play, wasn't it?
I think it was. I think there was maybe there was like a penalty or something. I don't know. And it was on him. And I don't know what the whole situation was. I didn't really go. I didn't get to see the game live. I was at church and all that. I just had stuff on Sunday. So,
but what's this other big NFL news that contains another player that you follow, Jalen Hurts?
Oh, yeah.
Did he come to a bench? What happened?
So one of my favorite players as a Bama fan that I loved, and look, stat-wise or whatever, he was not the best quarterback, but you got to understand the heart and the character that this guy had, the toughness. I mean, Jalen Hurts, we all remember his story about, when Tua came in against Georgia and all that, he took his starting job. Jalen should have transferred. He shouldn't have come back, but he did. And it took character and guts for that. So I admire Jalen Hurts.
Real fast, Ballard, I'll tell you what Jalen Hurts should have done. He should have just transferred to Georgia, but go ahead.
Oh, whatever. But yeah, so I have this video in an article, too, that I'll share from NBC News at Washington. But check out this video real quick. I'll put that banner up. Fix the railing. Jalen Hurts writes a letter to the NFL after a foot injury Sunday incident at Washington game. Now, I'll get to that point in a second, but just real quick, man, take a look at this video here. He's literally leaving the field. It's like a 20-6. I think the score was like 20-16. Eagles get the dub. Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, looked amazing in this game. Here he is. And, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yep. Watch this again here. These fans just kind of leaned too far forward. They wanted a high five. Outside of his, and it landed on his foot. You can't see it, but apparently, according to reports, it did land on Jalen Hurts' his ankle, his foot there. He was kind of limping a little to the locker room. He had to get a little help. But it looks like nobody got truly injured. So thankfully everybody was okay. But I don't know if I've ever seen that, but you got to understand too, FedEx Field is it's a pretty old stadium. I mean, it's, I think it was in the 70s. So, I mean, it's not too old, but he did end up writing a letter real quick. I'm going to share this article here. This is again from NBC News 4 in Washington. Jalen Hurts pens letter to NFL Washington following FedEx Field railing incident. And it goes on. But he was high-fiving several fans on his way into the locker room when a railing collapsed near the tunnel, leading several fans to fall several feet to the ground. While Washington said in a statement that no one was seriously injured, that fans were offered medical aid on site. Eagles fans told ESPN that none was provided. Certainly a scary scene to watch. It's not the scariest thing in the world that I've seen, but you know, if you have a metal contraption like this fall on your foot, I mean, I'd be saying every word in the book, whether I got shoes on or not. I mean,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, and so here's the thing, you know, I thought when I very first heard this story and it said foot, keyword foot, I figured, okay, maybe was he standing on the bench, jumping up and down, right? Not acting like a hooligan because we all know Jalen Hurts, you know, has class act. But maybe he's excited. Maybe they're swinging towels. I don't know. Maybe he's getting up on a bench to, let's say, lean to the crowd and somehow he hurt himself. But I've never in my life seen this or witnessed it or
there's too much.
Nothing like this,
what
Ballard.
happened? See, these are those moments where you do go back and you say, yeah, folks, we're going to need some social distancing here. We're just going to, you know, like everybody back up. Don't like everyone's kind of crowded. Everyone wants to high five and pat him on the back for the victory and the great win that he had. But you lean too far forward, you break the railing and it pretty much breaks his foot, or at least fell on it. I mean, they got him checked out. They said he was going to be okay. He should be back next week for the game. But, yeah, man, that's
definitely a way you don't want to lose a quarterback for sure.
Especially the Eagles, man. They don't really have anybody outside of them. But, I mean, yeah, that's crazy, man. But props to Jalen Hurts. He had a great game. We hope he's doing all right. It seems like it. And just Washington, get that fixed, man.
Absolutely. And, you know, maybe they can invest in more better or safer guardrails, maybe put some paddings on it. I don't know. I mean, either way, it still could have fell, whether if there's paddings or something on there. The good news is they're just blessed that Jalen Hurts is going to be okay moving forward.
Absolutely.
And, you know, and he doesn't have no broken bones or anything crazy out of the ordinary. I know I suffer a lot, and I hate to bring in my personal life, but I could just only imagine about something falling on my foot right this second with my ingrown toenail. So, yeah, that's pretty bad. It's very, very bad.
Pray for Ugga Boy. His foot is crippled.
Yes, I'm like a 90-year-old old man walking around limping. But yeah, so scary, good stuff. I say scary and good stuff because it was scary, but Jalen Hurts is going to be okay. I mean, and you can say what you want about Jalen Hurts. He may not be everybody's favorite all-time quarterback. I think he only had 3 or 4 losses at Alabama and a good spam. So look, say what you want. He's a really good quarterback, and he's doing a lot better than a lot of other quarterbacks that really didn't make it or has not made it in the NFL because Jalen Hurts is getting it down in Philadelphia. So we'll see. We'll see what he can do moving forward, but hopefully he can keep nothing but good positive vibes moving forward up there in the Hurts home.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say this with the head coach and everything going for him this year, they've had a bounce back season, and I think all things are looking up for Philly right now. But other news out of the NFL, we got one more headline, and then we're going to get into Alabama and Georgia.
The Big
and
Daddy.
talk about this, and talk about the national title game. But it took a little while, Ugga boy. But news today, the Washington football team has announced they officially have found their new official name. What do you
Really,
think,
bro?
man?
Really?
Yeah, it took a while. I mean, look, first off, I'm just going to be honest with all and just call it what it is. I mean, everybody knows it at this point. The wokeness, nothing, we can't be offensive to anybody, which I'm not one of those people. I would agree. Okay. You shouldn't try to offend people on purpose or anything, but they changed from the Redskins. The Redskins.
Right.
I never heard anybody complain about it. I'm getting off topic, but they have come down to a few candidates for their team name, and I've heard quite a bit. I have heard, I like the name the Red Wolves.
Yeah, that name keeps spiraling around, and I think I like that. There's only one Red Wolves out there, Arkansas State in college football.
Yep.
We remember they were in the headlines back in the early 2000s. They had to change their mascots from the Indians to the Red Wolves. And look, if Washington, even though Washington's the NFL team, if they can make it the transition to the Red Wolves, look, that's the only two mascots out there. That's like saying Harvard and Alabama is the only two teams with Crimson Tide. That's absolutely crazy. You want to have a fearful mascot. You want to be that one individual team in the NFL, just like Arkansas State wants to be that one individual team in college football in college collegiate that stands out. And I think that would be a nice ring to Washington.
Well, so according in this article that I'm reading from, I put the link in the chat if anyone wants to go on and read it later. John Keim of ESPN, an NFL reporter, put this article out from Washington that the Washington football team is set to unveil the new nickname a month from now on February 2nd, just 11 days before the Super Bowl. He said during a podcast in September with ESPN's Adam Schefter, Washington football team co-CEO Tanya Snyder confirmed that the 8 final candidates were Armada, whatever the hell that is, Presidents, Brigade, Red Hogs. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I did that one.
Commanders. I love Red Wolves. Defenders and football team. Now, even
man, they can do better than that.
Dude, they still want to try to keep football team. I mean, that's just crazy. But I got a couple here, and this is what I like. This is the 3. I got 3 for you that I think they should choose from. I mentioned I like this one here. Let me take this down. I like the Red Wolves.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Washington Warriors.
Yeah.
Or how about this one? Get ready. Hey, this one's going to blow your mind. Get ready for this one, folks. Drum roll. Ready? Fire away. Why don't we just be traditional and go back to it, folks? Why not? What do you think? Man, come on.
Well,
I never once heard anybody complain about the name. And listen, I've tried very hard, but who do you know out there? And I'm sure you followed NFL a long time like myself and others. Did anyone really complain about the Redskins name? I never heard it, but just in case it's offensive. See, I understand if, it does offend somebody and it's like, great. But nobody really, at least to my knowledge, nobody really got offended by it. But again, I get it. That's just the world we're living in. But
so I jot some stuff down, Ballard, and I thought, I wanted to share my thoughts on what I thought Washington should do. Talking about their name change and whatever. Of course, I kept the Red Wolves because I thought Washington, the Washington Red Wolves will be outstanding. I still
Yes.
digging that. But here's a couple that we can throw around and play with. Keep it traditional, I guess, inside the Bulldog house. Well, how about the Washington Bulldogs? The Washington
Where'd you
Gators,
come up with that?
or
Washington.
what about the Washington Owls? So look, I say that them are a lot better names than what you just read off to me, in my opinion. But I think that they
This
should
sounds
definitely be
cool
the
for
Red Wolves.
Vodka Drinker says Warhawks. That sounds dope, man. Warhawks.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, that does.
But they're going to get a new name, and I think they want to try to get it before the 2022 season. They even said last year that it will not be Washington football team forever, and obviously they're not going to go back to Redskins because we just got to bend over backwards and try to please people, not offend anybody, which again, I get that's the world we live in and all that, but I mean, it's a team name. Just buckle up, sit down, calm down, and just let us play the game, no matter what the team name is. It's not a cuss word. I mean,
yeah.
Come on.
Well, Vodka said Washington Monuments.
Washington Monument. That's perfect right there. That's
yeah. I like the Warhawks. I like the Red Wolves. I like. I don't know. I mean, I think it would be pretty cool. I mean, be honest. I mean, it may not be a really good name or anything, but how would you like to see the Washington Gators in the NFL? I mean, not really, because Washington does not fit the Gators. But does the Washington football team fit the Red Wolves?
Washington Federals. Ooh, that sounds strong right there. Strong. Washington Federals. Man.
What's big up in Washington that's like people talks about, that's like a good animals?
Capitals. Well, we already got the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm thinking.
Why are you leaving, Jeff? This is two-man Pigskin, dude. Come on, you got to join the show. You gotta stay in the comments and keep everybody else entertained with your knowledge.
For sure. But
anyway, whether if you come or stay, we do appreciate y'all coming in. But we are not done. Yeah. We're just having a little bit of fun, talking about the Washington Capitals, the monuments, whatever you want to call them. Ballard, I think we all agree, Red Wolves, Warhawks, all that stuff is lovely. But here's the thing. The general managers, they have say-so in this, right? The head honchos of the franchise. But do they even have the Warhawks or the Red Wolves on their list, or how can they still be called the football team if they're called the Washington Red Wolves?
I'm sure they're on the radar. I'm sure there's some that were listed or that were not listed that maybe they could still consider. I mean, it's not like they have a given list and it's like the commissioner's yelling at them to choose from this list. I mean, and there's no, look, there's no rush, but obviously you don't want to be stuck as Washington football team. I mean, we know you're a football team. Like, I know there's a football team in Tampa, but what are they? They're the Buccaneers. I know there's one in Carolina, but they're the Panthers. You see, like, we know. So pick something. It's crazy.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, man, it's only a matter of time. They'll get it fixed, and it might take them 50 years to figure out a freaking football team name. I don't know, but I'm sure at some point.
Well, here's my whole thing about it real fast okay, so Washington, of course, they've already changed their name from the Washington Redskins to the football team. But when, in all fairness, if you're going to make one team change their mascot or whatever, why is no one saying anything about the Chiefs of Kansas City?
Oh, here we go.
I'm just being honest.
Oh, I know. I know.
It starts a whole bunch of stuff. Once you make one team do it, it seems like you have to make somebody else do it. In this case, we're not really seeing it done, especially to Kansas City. So we'll keep our ears pinned for sure. And if we hear anything, the two-man Pigskins we'll let y'all know,
Oh, yes.
the listeners for sure, because this is definitely an interesting topic to say the least.
For sure, man.
So let's get on to the granddaddy of them all. We all know it's going to happen. It's Georgia,
Final topic.
Alabama.
Yep, final topic of the night. So this is it, folks. Now, I have my preview and prediction video coming out this week. I don't know. Ugga Boy, you're not really posting anything right now, I don't think. But either way, I mean, I'm sure you got your thoughts on this game, and I'm sure maybe you've even come up with the prediction. But, man, let's get down to business. The Tide and the Dogs, round 2 this year, round 4 between Kirby and Saban. Round 5, really, I should say, if I'm not mistaken. But overall, man, I'm just gonna go ahead and give it. I do think Georgia's gonna win. I got a score of 28-24, but I want to hear from you, a Georgia fan, man. What is it about Alabama that worries you? But what is it that also you're confident in your Bulldogs to get the rematch and get the win in the title game?
Well, first of all, I think that, to me, I'm going to be honest with you. You know, you just said it. You nailed it right on top of the head. This is Kirby's 4th or 5th chance that he's getting opportunities since Georgia has been elite, I would say, especially this year down in Athens. So to me, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm sorry. I don't know what you Bulldog fans think out there, but I think this is a must-win for Kirby Smart because, to me, there's going to be a lot of pressure riding off of this year going into next year. I've heard West Virginia fans, I've heard everybody even say that this is Alabama's lowest, and next year they're going to be bigger and better, while everybody, including Georgia, is going to rebuild next year. So this is going to be huge for Georgia to see what they can do and get the job done ultimately if they want to do anything. This is no brainer. Alabama's the roadblock. Nick Saban, it seems like he has everybody's number. But at the end of the day, Jimbo Fisher found a way to beat Alabama. Now, you could say that Alabama, they lose that win game every year. This is what they do. And then everybody disrespects them, and then they come back and kick your tail. Well,
Right.
Maybe Georgia needs that. Maybe they need that kick in the butt, that kickstart, should I say. They had it against Alabama. Didn't really look so good in the SEC championship game. I just think it would be a bad showing for Georgia if they end up going, 13-2 on the year. No SEC championship, no national championship. It's great you get there to the Natty,
Right.
but at the end of the day, you just have nothing to show for. And this will, again, of course, like every year, be huge for Alabama if they win. I honestly want to say when they do win, but
Yeah.
I feel like this could be a change. I feel like that maybe Georgia is looking at a 17-13 win if Kirby Smart can get the W. I pray as a Bulldog fan they can. I think it's going to be a heck of a matchup. As all predicted, but I think Georgia's going to have a better showing this go around than they did the SEC championship game for sure, Ballard.
Let me just say this real quick, and here's the difference, I think, between this year and I guess go back to 2017. Forget it being against Alabama for a second. We know who they're facing. But, I mean, it could be any team in the nation. It's the national championship. It could be Clemson. It could be Ohio State. It could be Michigan again. It could whoever it is. It's a national title. It just makes it even bigger that it's against Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide. But I'll say this for Georgia. The difference between this year in 2021, 2022, and 2017 and 2018 is that this offseason prior to the season, we kind of expected this. Like, let's be honest, man. I know that Kirby got hired in 2016 or whenever it was, and he had a good first year. But then 2017 kind of hit us all in the back of the head, and Georgia just came out of nowhere. And then 2018, they're still really good. And so now we kind of see them as a team that, like, okay, they do compete. It wasn't just that one year. But then with the recruiting aspect of it and the talent, Then you go into this year, and we're actually favoring the Bulldogs. It's not like they made this game out of nowhere. They've been talked about all season long, and we literally expected this. So the fact that the media and college football fans and the analysts and everybody's expected this for Georgia, no matter who they were going to face. I mean, I said in the offseason, boy, was I wrong. I thought it would be Georgia, Oklahoma, because I thought Oklahoma would have a great year too, which, I mean, it wasn't exactly what we thought it would be, but either way, Georgia's still here. And I don't care if they're playing Bama or Cincinnati or Michigan. Like I said, I don't care who they're playing. They're in the national championship. They know what they got to do, and they have to win this one, right? Not that they're not going to fall off if they lose it, but man, the stakes are so high, the hype, and just the journey of this team. They've come this far. They didn't come all this way, all this hype to lose this game.
Absolutely. And I got a question I'm going to ask you in the college football world, because the stats were pretty unbelievable last week with Stetson Bennett, the mailman for Georgia, winning and a beatdown, should I say, 34-11 to Michigan against Michigan. But here's my question to you, and I'll ask you first before we ask people in the comments, or I will. Do you think that Stetson Bennett plays better angry?
I really don't know, but a true quarterback, a true leader, whatever position, true leaders are motivated by failure and loss. And clearly they had that against Alabama in December. They use it as motivation. It seemed like, I don't know if I want to say angry, but he was a little heated and just ready and fired up and ready to go in that Michigan game. He needs to carry that over in this title game against the Crimson Tide. But yeah, whatever. I mean, if you want to say plays better angry, if that's what he was against Michigan, then yes, he plays better angry. But I don't know what he was feeling other than just determination. That's the word.
Absolutely. He wanted to shut everybody up. He said, "Hey, I don't have social media," even though I think he does have a Twitter account, or it gets mixed up with his dad's. Either way, he said, "Look, I don't have a Twitter account. I want to go out here and do what I think I need, what I know I need to do, and that's be successful and do everything that I learned and everything else." And you even said, Ballard, that Kirby Smart. Finally, we saw what was it? Going into halftime, he chewed him out due to clock management. Kind of went wrong there with Stetson Bennett. So it looked like Kirby put a little more fire under Georgia. Maybe Kirby is a little soft with Georgia, but at the same time, he dadgum sure wasn't soft with Stetson Bennett. And Stetson was probably the only one that probably shouldn't have got chewed out, because he was playing an outstanding game. I mean, absolutely.
And I'll have to hear this and go back and maybe find his press conference. But this headline says Stetson Bennett isn't trying to be the savior at Georgia. I mean, no, he's not trying to be a hero or anything. He just wants to, you always want to do what you can to help the team. But he's not looking for credit or anything. He's saying, I just want to be a good quarterback. I just want to go throw a ball around and be great and have success. And, again, look, he knows that. And there's a lot of unselfish players on this team. It's all about the team. There's not a selfish quarterback in this game. There's not a selfish player. It's always been teamwork this year. And, I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see these teams come together on both sides. This game is going to be close. And again, I do have my video premiering this week. Stay tuned for the score prediction. But again, I will say I do think Georgia can get it done. I just think that, this team knows what's at stake. They know what's been in front of them all year. They know what the finish line is. And as much as I hate to say it, I do not want Alabama to lose to Kirby Smart. That's just embarrassing. But sometimes, man, you got to have stuff happen.
Yeah, Vodka Drinker in the comment section, he said that Georgia's defense definitely, or not defense, should I say, offense played different against Michigan, but Georgia was more aggressive downfield passing, and I believe that that is very, very true, Vodka. Look, whatever you're drinking, you're right on point. Because let me just say this. Georgia did look different, Ballard. And, we talk about the great players that Michigan has and how they pretty much got throttled and how it just knocked them off their rocker, should I say. Yeah. Maybe that's what it was. Kind of like I remember when everybody disrespected Georgia saying that, oh, Georgia's offense is terrible. We couldn't complete this, couldn't do this, couldn't do that versus Clemson. And then they go out there and blow the roof off of UAB 56-7. Who, by the way, just beat number 13 BYU. So, say what you want, but the offense, it seems like it's getting stronger, bigger, than better. Now, what were you saying?
Well, I mean, they say that, we couldn't do this or that against Clemson. I know Clemson kind of sucks this year, and they've had their bad moments, and they just out of nowhere took a downfall big time. They still have one of the better defenses, I think. Their problem is offense. So, I mean, are you really going to base a 10-3 victory over a top defense like that, and Brent Venables, by the way, who's going to Oklahoma next year? Like, are you going to base a performance of a quarterback like JT or guys out there that played for you guys in that game off the first game of the season?
Well, I mean, that's the same thing as like where I look at it this way. We didn't know Georgia was going to get this kind of a Clemson team. They only got that Clemson team on week 1 and what they did in the past. So it's the same thing as like when we played Arkansas, right? When we held them scoreless there in Athens, the Razorbacks looked really good. Now then the Razorbacks are a little unpredictable where they look good, then they don't, then they look good. You get the point. What I'm saying is that, the teams that maybe rank, let's say, 3rd or 4th, like Iowa was, who just lost to Kentucky in their bowl game, they may not be who they were at the beginning of the year or two, or the 2nd or 3rd game. So in fairness, Georgia didn't know really who they were playing, and maybe Clemson played them harder because it was week 1, and maybe Clemson wasn't as bad as what we thought. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying there's a lot of factors that could have came into play. But, yeah, definitely don't look so great of a win for Georgia looking back at it for sure.
Absolutely, man. For sure.
I got one more question for you and the guys in the comment section below. I think this is pretty fair to say that this is somewhat a disappointment. But a George Pickens comeback that he had so far for Georgia as a wide receiver, to me, it's been somewhat of a disappointment. Is it been somewhat a disappointment to you and the college football fans out there watching George at Georgia?
I mean, it's great to at least see him out there playing. I mean, I think really if you're a Georgia fan, that's really what you could ask for. Like, hey, at least he's getting better and healthy, and he's playing and he's looking okay. But again, you got to think, man, this guy got hurt in the offseason. He wasn't able to practice. And it wasn't even because of COVID. He had a serious, I think it was a torn ACL or whatever. He's had so far, though, when he's come in, 4 receptions, 55 yards, no touchdowns yet, but he did have the longest play of 37. I'd say for a guy that hasn't played all year, I'd say that's okay. But, still at the same time, it's like you wish that it was a little better for him. I'm curious to see what he does going forward. Is he a junior or a senior?
I believe he's a junior, if I'm not mistaken.
I will tell you this. If he can stay healthy next offseason, which if you're a Georgia fan, pray and hope so, I think if he comes back next year, he'll have a breakout season for you guys on offense.
Absolutely.
He'll be a breakout star.
Absolutely. Well, one guy that definitely has came off the bench to make some big noises is big number 7, Brooks for the Crimson Tide. Ballard,
Yes.
This guy stood out to me just like one of those other wide receivers that came out 2 or 3 years ago. They say the next man up in Athens. This is just one player getting up and doing his thing in Title Town. What is Brooks bringing to the table in the championship game, since he's going to be a go guy for 4 quarters?
Well, he's definitely been a guy that a lot of people in the back room have kind of talked about for the Crimson Tide, honestly. And we've kind of waited. But I think the big game that kind of stood out to me for, and you're talking about Ja'Cory Brooks here, he's got 12, or I'm sorry, I'm looking at JoJo Earl. Keep your eye on him going forward, though. But Ja'Cory Brooks, 9 receptions, 145 yards, 2 touchdowns, and his longest play is 44. Now, Ja'Cory Brooks is a big-time recruit and wide receiver. He's a freshman from Miami, Florida, so we stole him from the Canes practically. He wears number 7. He is 6'2", 190 as a freshman, right? And it's so incredible. He had a touchdown against Cincinnati. He had 4 receptions in the semifinal for 66 yards. When you look at it, too, he didn't get a touchdown against Georgia, but he did make a catch for 9 yards. He had a key receiving I think it was the go-ahead tying touchdown before we got into the overtime segment of the Iron Bowl. He tied it up. He had 2 receptions for 49 yards. He averaged about 24 and a half yards a catch.
Wow.
He's fast, dude. He is incredible. There's a lot of other guys like JoJo Earl, Christian Leary. There's a lot of young guys in that receiver room to look out for going forward. But yeah, I think the next big man up is Ja'Cory Brooks. But so far, man, as a freshman, he's made a big impact when he has been on the field.
Well, don't look no further. How about B-Rob? Brandon Robertson in the backfield. Tell us about what Coach Saban likes about B-Rob and what he brings to the table.
Saban's always talking about Brian Robinson and his competitive toughness and grit that he has. Now, he's been out this year due to some injury. He started out being our go-to running back, number 4 for the Crimson Tide. He's 6'1", 225, a hometown kid in T-Town in Tuscaloosa. He has 249 rushing attempts. He's got over 1,000 yards. He's got 14 touchdowns. The only thing that's kind of low in his stats is he only averages 5 yards a carry on average. So, I mean, it's not a whole lot. I mean, it's not a big explosive play. But then again, you also got to take into account that we're throwing the ball a lot because we also have this elite quarterback in Bryce Young. So, you know, you can't take too much on him. Plus the offensive line issues. I think Brian Robinson is one of those guys that if you're in a run first type of offense and he's behind probably one of the best O-lines possible or something that's at least good 9 times out of 10, he's putting up great NFL type numbers. I really think he's something special. It's possible you'll see him in this game here with Georgia. He did play in the Cotton Bowl, and in that he did not score a touchdown, but he had 26 rushing attempts, 204 yards, and on average he was getting about 7.8 yards a carry. His longest rushing play was 23, and I know this was a cupcake game, but he had 9 rushing attempts against New Mexico State a month ago, or almost 2 months ago, I should say, for 99 yards. He got 11 yards on average per carry. He scored 2 touchdowns, and his longest rushing play in that game was 63 yards.
Yeah, pass protection's unbelievable. See some people chiming in the comment section about that. We saw that in the Alabama-Cincinnati game, just blistering. You know, you run up the middle, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. He really had a breakout game there in the playoff game last weekend, and against Cincy. But I will say this, that you could say 5 yards a carry, but every time if you get 5 yards a carry, if that's the max you're averaging, yeah, you want those explosive runs. But guess what? When you're averaging 5 yards a carry, if you run the ball twice, that's always a first down. So eventually you will get down there and score. And if you've got these dynamic wide receivers like Alabama and everything, maybe 5 yards is just good enough. So I think Alabama's got their offense rolling Now, I did see against Cincinnati it struggled a little bit at times and whatnot, but that's still don't take nothing away from Alabama. I mean, look, Cincinnati's still a good team. Just because they lost to Alabama and met their matchup that day doesn't mean that they're garbage. The fact of the matter is, I still think that Georgia's going to have to still stop the run. Georgia's going to have to stop the dynamic wide receivers for Alabama if they want to have a chance. And they cannot leave the middle of the field wide open, which is something they struggled tremendously against Alabama in the SEC championship game. So the secondary, absolutely. Yeah. So because we know Georgia's got the front seven, but the front seven can't do everything, guys.
That's true.
Yeah. So Georgia's gonna have to come up with a better game plan.
Now, you were asking about some of Bama's receivers, and I know we talked briefly about George Pickens, man, but talk about some of the other receivers that they have. You got big man Brock Bowers, McConkey, Adonai Mitchell, Jermaine Burton. You got a few key guys in there, much like Alabama, that you could put on rotation. Who are some other key targets for Stetson to throw to in this game?
Well, of course, you got Brock Bowers. I mean, who can't forget him, right?
Best tight end I've ever seen, honestly, hands down.
Absolutely. Tight end / wide receiver. Now, he is a little gimpy. I think he's going to be fine. Maybe a little banged up, maybe a 2% off of a 98% going in. So the chances are still good for Brock Bauer fans in Georgia. But here's the thing real fast. Ladd McConkey. Ladd, should I say, Ladd McConkey. I believe eventually he's going to make some big-time moves that's going to get Georgia going downfield, getting vertical and everything. He's really coming into. How about A.D. Mitchell, number 5? Didn't talk about him, Ballard, but yes, you got to remember he had a big game last week with the trick play there with Kenny McIntosh, him throwing it to number 5 there, Mitchell. So a lot of good stuff for the Bulldogs to cheer about. Now, Dominic Blaylock, he's still hurt. I think he's a little lower. He hasn't came as far, I think, up the depth chart if they came any as much as George Pickens. But, Jermaine Burton's number 7 is one of those wide receivers. You just don't know when he's going to come through. He's a little tricky. Like you really don't know if this is going to be his game or if he's going to play one of his worst games. Or you never know. He may just be out there just running around. So you got to always keep your eyes on number 7.
Now, I'll ask you this. If he's healthy, is he always out there on the field and it's just one of those you don't know if he's going to catch or if he's going to block?
Are you talking about Jermaine Burton or are you talking about Dominic Blaylock?
Or I guess Blaylock, the one you were just talking about.
Yeah, I think Blaylock. I don't recall me on this, but I think Blaylock did play special teams. I've seen an 8 running around on special teams there, so he might have been, with scout. Maybe they're letting him come up through the practice squad, or it's like through special teams and stuff. Jermaine Burton, yeah, he's running out there. He's doing stuff. He just sometimes just don't really do anything. I don't know if obviously everybody contributes in some way, but obviously there's been some games where he has played very poorly. But then there's some games like last year against Mississippi State, he blew the doors off state and had like 3 or 4 touchdowns. So you just never know who you're going to get. It's one of those things where you just always got to keep your eyes on the wide receivers because when you let one go, especially when you have Brock Bowers out there and Ladd McConkey, guess what? You better keep your eyes pinned to another one because they could very well have that breakout game.
And it's with incredible Bowers too. You mentioned those guys and how good they're doing. Are both of them freshmen?
Ladd and Brock is freshmen. Brock Bowers. So we got, and I think A.D. Mitchell is maybe like second year, or I think he's like I could be wrong, a sophomore or something like that. But we got some young depth. We got some new wide receivers that came in this year. I think Jermaine Burton's been with the team for 2 or 3 years. So, we got some that's been with the team, some hasn't. So long and whatever. Bottom line is they're just going to have to get more vertical and they're going to have to get better and they're going to have to do it this weekend if they want to win a national championship. Well, not this weekend, but this upcoming Monday on January the 10th. Because, this is it.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is the final game, and this is where everybody has to step up. And, I mean, I'd say the same thing about Alabama. Our receivers, there's been some games at times where Bryce has had to do things on his own, and some receivers weren't catching the ball. I mean, I know you Georgia fans talk about like you got your issues at quarterback or receiving. I mean, Alabama outside of the quarterback position, you just never know what you're going to get. Are you going to get the full package and the O-line's going to block against Georgia like they did the first time? Are receivers going to step up? Or are we going to have one of those Florida games where, like that Florida game, man, I think our defense was what won that one for us there, but we did not really have our best offensive game. So, I mean, look, don't feel down, Oga boy. Alabama's got their offensive struggles too. And it's just going to be interesting. We don't know, like that's what makes this game so great. Which Georgia are you getting, and then which Alabama are you getting too? Because you can only predict and think, but you never really know. But we'll
Yeah,
see.
real fast. I just wanted to say this and wrapping, Ballard, that we sit here and we rave so much about these seniors and on Georgia and Alabama and how whatever team you pull for, and they
Yeah.
do a lot to the institution. And we talk, of course, me being a Georgia fan, we talk a lot about Jordan Davis, right? Godzilla, and everything else. But one guy that I'm really gonna miss playing his final game at Georgia. He's done a heck of a job, and we know that he's been one of the best punters at Georgia in the last year or two, hitting them, nailing them inside the 10s, the 15s, and stuff. But yeah, Jake Camarda, he's playing his last game this weekend or this Monday. And look, man, say what you want, but Jake's a damn good dog.
Absolutely, man. But yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, I think we've covered everything for the show. But I'll let you get the final word. Anything to close us out tonight? Any news we forgot, or anything you got to add on about this game for Georgia, or maybe even Alabama?
Well, this is the last show heading to the because the national championship will be played on Monday, so the next
Yep.
show will be Tuesday. So, of course, I think in closing we have to brag about who's going to win, who isn't.
We are.
Look, even though there's
Bama.
even though people's
Roll
going to sit
Tide.
here as
No, I'm just
Georgia
kidding.
fans, they're going to sit here all day and they're going to say Kirby Smart can't beat Alabama. Look, I don't want to hear it. You are a Georgia fan. If you're an Alabama fan, you're going to say your team is going to win no matter what. And this
Yeah.
is going to be one of the biggest games that these kids has ever played. I get it. They played in the SEC championship games. Maybe Kirby's played him Saban a couple of times. But this is for the natty, right? This is all the marbles on the line. Both teams have lost one game apiece, and this is going to be huge. So Georgia's coming for Alabama, Ballard, and we are going to put Jake Camarda, Godzilla, and everybody on you.
Whatever. Bryce Young won the Heisman.
Go Dogs. Georgia's going to win 17-13.
We got I can't even do it now without a straight face, man. This is going to be so awesome. I'm excited. And again, I am confident Bama can win this game. I keep saying it, but just to clarify, I did pick Georgia, because I was trying to be I was going to be unbiased and put it in perspective. If I'm not
Ballard, you put your sportscaster hat on, right? You put your sportscaster hat on.
I went Georgia 28-24.
That's fair enough. I think Georgia's going to win 17.
Hey, hold on.
Game.
28-24 either way. Hey, right there, man. I could get this right, but I do hope Alabama wins this game. But, man, I like I keep saying, I do think Georgia's been on a mission all year long. They know what's at stake. They know what they got to do. And they didn't come this far for nothing. Alabama at least can say, well, we'll still be here regardless because we're recruiting and we got Nick Saban as the head coach, and we're not going anywhere. We could lose this game. We'll still be back there next year. Georgia, we'll see what Kirby does with all the other players going forward,
Absolutely. That's fair enough to say. And I think it's going to be a good one, Ballard, and I can't wait. And man, we're going to have a heck of a show next Tuesday, the
Yeah.
next episode, which would be episode 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
Two-man
Or 4.
pigskin. Yeah,
Episode
and
4.
it's going to be a dandy, man. It's going to be a good one. So y'all make sure you tune in then. But Ballard, it's been another good one, and Raps, man, thanks for having me. And I think I did good. I was on time, for this show, and we'll try it again next week.
Yes, sir. Love you, buddy. We love all you in the comments. Y'all go subscribe to Ugly Boy. His links in the description of the live stream. Love you guys. Jesus loves you. Keep your head up. And from a Bama fan, roll Tide.
Go Dogs.
Love y'all. Peace.